Okay, so hi. This is the miloais first ever debate session. Hopefully not the last one lah. Okay, so actually I'm gonna be honest here. We had no idea what we're doing, but we just thought that this format, this debate format, one-on-one U.S. presidential debate style, I think we'll be able to have some really nice discourse, uh, and hopefully that we get some really nice ideas or some really cool drama tonight. Hopefully, friendships will be broken tonight. But uh, regardless, let's start. Okay, so what's gonna happen is this debate, you can call it that, will be done in the style that is very similar to what the US presidential debate is. So what that means is each side, pro and con, will have 3 minutes to talk about their points. After which, they will then have a free for all to spar against each other's ideas. I will be moderating, just in case you guys don't know yet or don't recognize the voice yet. This is Amos Tan. I'm once again disembodied because I'm all the way in Malacca and there's quite bad internet here. But I'll try my best to moderate, be fair, because tonight the topic is about big developments in Malaysia, specifically BIG Architects biodiversity in Penang. Now just give you some head start, some introduction to what this project is. So this is a 2,000-acre project designed by BIG Architects as part of a competition for what is called Penang South Islands. Now, Penang South Islands is itself part of Penang 2030 Master Plan, where according to their website, to their corporate lingo, they intend for it to be for make Penang a smart state that will be a inspiration to the nation. Now, one of the central tenets that they put forth for this big master plan is that it has to be, well, of course, smart, sustainable, but at the same time, and it's right there in the literature, it is supposed to be something that is for the benefit of the people of Penang, regardless of class. And just talking about, apparently, it has taken into account shareholders such as the fishermen or the occupants of the southern part of Penang. But I think, as you all know, once the announcement was brought out that BIG won with their really crazy proposal of 3 massive clusters of islands. Pardon me, 3 massive clusters of islands down south in Penang, around 1,600 acres huge, with a design that's very inspired by clover leaves. Now that has actually brought out quite a bit of controversy, especially within the architecture realm, because it seems like a massive waste. Of course, like any other major projects that's undertaken by any government, you're gonna get contrasting views, right? For sure, we can use this money to do something else, and it can be done in other ways. However, especially in this case, this is special because this is not a federal project by the federal government of Malaysia. It is a project by the state government of Penang, and that brings around quite some interesting implications as well. Now, tonight, we are going to have Gary on one end. Now, Gary himself has self-professed that he really, really likes the project. He's really a big fan, and he thinks that these sort of projects are quite necessary, not just for Penang itself, but for Malaysia as a whole. Now, on the other side, we have cheah Eevon. Now, Eevon is actually a native of Penang, so she has a special stake, a personal stake in this project, and she has gone on record saying, "This is not the way to go." All right, this is not the way to go. So would you guys want to introduce yourself real quickly, as to what you guys are aiming to bring or aiming to point out, just in general, about your views regarding this project? Gary, how about you?
Um, I would like to say all projects, I'm not, even though I like a certain parts of it, but doesn't mean that I love it as a whole. So I can only say that I will point out the things that I agree with, and I hope this debate, when it was, you know, a broadcast, don't see it as a like a result, like a product of cancel culture in a way. Oh, you say this and then I want to cancel you, or Yvonne say this I want to cancel you. No, I think we should open with we should welcome with an open mind to see what is a good thing we can learn, and also the bad thing we can try to eliminate.
Of course.
Yep.
Of course. But Gary, what do you aim to convince the people about?
I would say the aim is it's much more on the culture to look at things. It's much more on the context to look at things. It's not really much more on looking at the content. So it's more about how do we see the things with an open mind. I would only can say that because I have seen people, they object with personal feelings, and
No,
they don't see another side.
okay, Gary. So are you going to try to convince us that this project is actually a benefit
Yes, I was
to everyone? Okay. All right. How about you, Yvonne? What do you aim to convince people tonight?
So obviously, the number one thing would be environmental effects. That's a no-brainer about this project. That is an oxymoron. A biodiversity island does not actually help the environment. And then the second thing would be mainly because of money. So
Okay.
that one is another huge topic that I'll elaborate later on.
All right.
And the third thing would be about this bringing in foreign architects to actually build up Malaysia, this problem of this kind of Eurocentric foreign architects in Malaysia.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, fantastic. All right. So those are the topics that we are going to be discussing once again. But first off, let's bring on Gary to bring his opening statements. Gary, let's start off with you. What do you have to say?
I have 2 minutes, right?
Yep, starting now.
Cool. I will talk in 3 parts. Okay, I'm going to talk about environment, architects, and investment. So perhaps maybe we can start off with investment. In a way, we can see the purpose of building up these 3 islands. They are more than just simply doing a new town. They are investment. In a way, they wanted to get the fund so that they can channel the fund to fundraise other project, because as you know, Penang, they do have this manifesto in Penang to 2030. So in this case, they are aiming for it to see Penang as the center for innovation and industry 4.0. So what does this mean? In a way that 4.0, they are looking at automated industry and also IT beyond IT, which is that one was actually industry 3.0. So in that case, in my opinion, Penang, it looks like a independent managed island in a way. So if we look at it, the zoning, you can see residential, you can see commercial, you can see tourism. But what we are highly lacking is the industrial area, which is only small part in Bayan Lepas. So this new island, they will definitely boost up another opportunity for industrial area instead of depending on another side. Even though Sebarang SP is still part of the Penang, but I believe that by creating this industrial opportunity, you don't have to travel across the bridge to another area for work. Why don't you can create your own job opportunity in that case? So that's the first one. And also, they are planning that the sales of the island is going to be fun for as an overall project. It's called Penang Travel Master Plan. So as you can see, like LRT, monorail, tunnels, and also island link. So these all need money, okay? Second of all, we are going to talk about architects. Yvonne mentioned earlier about the foreign architects, which is not wrong, because I believe that some architects, they've never been to Penang. But I must confess that when you're looking at the jury panels, they're actually not some simple people. They do have Dato Esa, who is the current PEM president. You have Kazuyo Sejima from Sana. You have OMA. You have technicians. They are not a typical engineers. They are hydrologists and also environmentalists. One of them is actually the co-founder of Kelab Alami. If you look at Kelab Alami, their research is on fishing village. I believe that they know fishing village more than us. Third of all, we were talking about environment. Reclaimed areas is not the first thing in Penang. We have already seen in Gurney Wharf. So environment, and also when speaking of the fishing village, they are much more depending on aquaculture, not marine production.
Go ahead. You have 20 seconds left.
I thought that 3 minutes. Okay.
Go ahead.
And speaking of environment, right? You can see like the Gurney Wharf, the recent project is actually designed by Grant Associate, and in that case, we can actually see the.
I'm gonna have to cut you off right there. All right, thank you. That's it for 3 minutes right now. Okay, thank you very much. I think like you can continue your comments later. You can continue your argument in the second part. For now, let's hear from Yvonne.
Oh my God, 3 minutes is quite fast though.
Yes.
Okay.
So yeah, Yvonne, you don't have to rebut Gary's points. Just bring your own points.
Say what
We
my
do the
points are.
rebuttal in the next part.
Okay.
Don't rebut them, okay?
Okay. The first one would be on environmental impact. So obviously, we all know that land reclamation will actually affect the mud flats in the coastal area, and affecting the seabed in the coastal area will actually also affect the pH of the soil, and also that will affect the water quality and also the soil quality of the coastal areas, making it not good for agriculture. And also it will be destroying coral reefs and also destroying all the mud flats that's fertile for prawn. So where the Penang South Reclamation Project is, there is where a lot of prawns are being fished by the fishermen currently. So once the Penang South Reclamation Project goes on, it will be like a complete loss of area of a prawn area in Penang. And then secondly, it will be about the money issue on this project. So they said that they can actually earn 70 billion MYR from this project to fund our Penang Transport Master Plan. But in reality, in that 4,500 acre of that reclamation, only 3,000 would be available for land resale, minus of like all the roads and infrastructure, all those stuff. So there will be only 39 billion ringgit for you to be able to be sold to developers, which is actually 7 billion short of actually paying for the transport master plan. So it's actually not a very viable project to fund the transport plan. And actually, this is based on the assumption that the market is good and you are able to sell all the land. But right now, as we all know, that COVID is happening, and Penang has always had this problem of not being able to actually sell all our condos. A lot of the condos are empty, even the ones around me are still quite empty. So I don't think that this Penang South Reclamation will actually raise enough funds to actually fund our Penang Transport Master Plan. There are still obviously other ways to do it. And I don't think that within that Penang Transport Master Plan, like the proposal of 2 automobile highways is kind of ridiculous, because those automobile highways is not really a mainly used route by the people, because we are supposed to solve the congestion from the Penang Bridge to the Bayan Lepas industrial area, but that 2 highways are actually connecting the Penang Airport to the touristy Tanjung Bunga beach areas, which is a stupid project in my opinion. And secondly, for Penang, to build a LRT system is not a viable system, although many people are on board with this. But personally, I think that Penang shouldn't be doing an LRT project, because our population is way too small, and we won't be able to cover back the cost after we build it. Even like Kuala Lumpur has like 8 million people, and Kuala Lumpur is still not earning money from the project. So having such huge infrastructure like this, okay.
Okay, thank you very much, Yvonne. Okay, just before we begin with our next session, which is the rebuttal part, I just want to ask, right, Yvonne, just now you touched out about some public transportation for Penang. I just want to ask, like, is that relevant to the current discussion on the Penang South Islands project specifically?
Yeah, it's closely linked,
it seems to me like it's a separate issue altogether.
No, it's not, because the reason why they wanted to build this Penang South Reclamation Island is to mainly to fund that Penang Transport Master Plan. So that's the reason why this reclamation project exists. So if we do not talk about the Transport Master Plan, it's actually not right in my opinion.
I see. All right, very well. Okay.
All right. Okay. So Gary and Yvonne, now you have 10 minutes to shoot each other. I think
Okay.
based upon the arguments that you presented, please do not present any new arguments. Based upon
Okay.
the arguments I presented, please have a go with each other. I just want to,
Okay.
before we start, I just want to summarize what we just heard from Gary. Gary said that this is actually quite an important project, and then he said that this he didn't call into question. He actually brought out the qualifications of the people involved in this. That there are people, like for example, the ex-president, or you have consultants from geologists, hydrologists, even Sana is here somehow.
Yeah.
That this is actually a project that has merit. This is something that perhaps there's a lot more going on than underneath what it seems. There's also the fact that he also tackled the popular perhaps misconception that this will damage a lot of livelihoods down there, but by saying that this is actually the impact of it on the present industry is actually relatively minimal. Now, Yvonne brought out the fact that that this master plan at the very beginning is flawed, because the reason why this master plan even exists is because that there is a need to fund the Penang Road transportation master plan, of which it itself is also flawed and full of problems. And not to mention the ecology and the problems regarding mud flats as well. So you guys have 10 minutes. Shoot each other right now. Start.
Okay, I would like to say first, because Yvonne did mention about the population growth and also the birth rate is dropping. It's very obvious in Penang's situation, but we can actually see Penang is a rather different exceptional case, because one, we have to look at Penang's livability in a way that it is ranked #1 in whole Malaysia, meaning to say everyone actually were looking up that spot as the alternative apart from living in KL. So that's the first part. Second part is we can actually see a global issue in political, for example, in Hong Kong. They can actually see Penang is actually one of their options instead of KL to stay, apart from Hong Kong. And that's probably why Penang Mayor, they are trying their best to transform Penang Island becoming like a new Singapore or Hong Kong. Okay, in this case, you might argue about critical regionalism or about the local identity. Now, because if we look at Penang, you have nowhere more to develop apart from the east side. If you're talking about the middle part, you have the soil with high erosion rate. So technically, you can't develop there. So you can only either go east or you go south. So that's my point on that. And speaking of environment,
don't forget that you have mainland. Mainland, there's still plenty of land. If you drive by Penang Island on the mainland, there's a lot of land right there. And one of the main reasons they wanted to do the Penang South reclamation is because the land price in the island side is higher, and you're able to sell it much more higher compared to the mainland side. So that's one of the reasons they wanted to do it on the island. And I think
Hi, I just want to cut in, right? I have a quote here from the Chief Minister of Penang, Chow Kanyao. He has said that, quote, "The future of Penang is on the mainland." What do you think about that, Gary?
Well, I think for me personally, because in mainland, okay, in this case, I would take out another architectural theory in this case, because I don't feel mainland is like, it's like another countryside would like Rem Koolhaas proposed, it's like a countryside is like an alternative or a byproduct of civilization and urbanization. So in that case, why we wanted to bother to take care about countryside when you cannot handle your own city? So the first thing is about the Penang Island himself. They should develop first, then only we can talk about the countryside or Seberang Perai. If I it carries a meaning saying that Seberang Perai is like a kampung,
but
it
Penang
doesn't.
Island not developed enough? Personally, I think there's not much problem with our transport right now. It's only traffic jam is very bad only at peak hours. Other times, driving around Penang is not much of a hassle. And then I think that other than LRT, we can do other types of transportation. And many local NGO has been pushing for the autonomous railless train to be existed in replace of the LRT, conventional LRTs, which can be implemented way faster with 5G technology, and also less construction and also less obstruction to the heritage views of Penang. So I think building LRT like what Hong Kong and Singapore is not really viable in our current situation now, when we already have 5G and we have much better technology that we can do a better transport master plan for Penang Island other than the conventional ways.
Yeah,
And
I think,
also,
yeah,
and also on mainland, I don't think we should continue to neglect mainland, because there is where the land is, and we should like further develop that side of the area instead of further developing Penang and by reclaiming it again and again and again, which will actually destroy our ecosystem.
Yeah, I think Yvonne did mention the last part is talking about ecosystem. Well, I think in this case, I would like to split in two parts. One is talking about fishing, which is, in fact, the Penang South Island project is only object, not just, of course, the environmentalists, but also the fishermen. So the fishermen mentioned because of the production of their fish, their catch, right? Now, I would like to brought up, if you look at the readings, right? Aquaculture production is way higher than marine production and marine landing production. In a way, in fact, going out and catch fishes is not really a big deal in a way. Oh, they would affect the business. I'm sorry, it might sound like I'm blaming the fishermen, but time is changing. Global change is global warming is
But do
happening.
you know that not every kind of species can be aquacultured?
Definitely, because if you're speaking of fishes for eat, right, for just for eating, right, I think it's more than enough, because Penang was one of the largest exporter of fishes for for restaurants, for domestic use, for eateries. They are way much more adequate in that sense. If you're saying that, okay, let's say the fish that outside, in
But
the
did
sea.
you know that our food sustainable index, so for shrimp and mackerel, so these two are the main species that are being affected by the reclamation. So for shrimp, we are right now just ngam at 100%. We are sustainable with the amount that we produce. But for mackerel, we are actually below our what's that, demand. So actually we are lacking of mackerel, and if we proceed with this kind of reclamation, that means we will have less and less mackerel and less shrimp, which I don't know how we're gonna like balance this off.
I think there is no, because like I said, the jury and also the technicians, also the advisor of the whole competition, they involve other ecologists and also environmentalists. So I'm quite confident with that, even though it's a stream environment, or fish, right? And
ikan kembung cannot be aquacultured.
Okay, but in that case, then we have to find another alternative to change our way of life in a way, because what I thought, you can't simply depending on one ecosystem to to link it with another. And
why should we change our ecosystem? Why should we change our way of life?
I mean,
time
is changing. Time is changing. We can't just depending on the traditional way of eating, and then we just depending on the fish that I used to like, and then I have to follow the so-called tradition that we wanted to go. The time is changing, even though I would like to eat that kind of certain fish or certain seafood, but the time is changing. The global warming is happening. The water temperature is rising. In that case,
what is Penang people benefiting from this South Reclamation project when the transport master plan is flawed?
Now, I mean, if you look at I'm not sure what kind of perspective that you're talking about in the speaking of the transport. Is it because for traveling from home to workspace, or is it for tourists, or But for me, as I see tourists, the transport system is the main core or the backbone in a way that for the development, because like I said, Penang, they wanted to be a center for innovation and industry 4.0. So in that case, transportation is one of the critical criteria in this case for logistics or for business,
Yeah, I'm not saying that I'm against developing Penang, but there are cheaper and better ways in doing the transport master plan and also better routes. But right now, the Penang government is not planning a good transport master plan. That's what I'm trying to say.
Okay, so in your case, what is the good transportation that you would like to propose?
I would like to propose like the mainland should be developed and all the industrial areas should be on the mainland right now instead of putting it on the South Reclamation Project. And also Penang should find a way to solve the traffic jam problem during peak hours. So instead of everyone cramming into from mainland to island through that single bridge, there has to be like a better transport system. For example, the easiest one would be a bus system. So everyone would go to one area in mainland to take the bus, and then that bus would bring them all into the industrial area instead of everyone having to drive their own cars to the industrial area in the island.
In speaking of Penang Island, you were saying there's one. Okay, technically there are two bridges. Okay, but even though the first one is
The
much more
second bridge is
frequently.
useless.
Okay,
The
now.
second bridge, no one
Okay,
uses
now,
it.
because of these projects, because of these islands, they can cultivate back the use of the second bridge. That's how I see, because they provide 70,000 houses in the new
But
island.
are they affordable?
No, they are not. Okay, I must honest, they are only 30% of the houses, they are affordable houses. But we have to see
20% and 20%. No, it's 20%.
Okay, even though it's 20%, another 80%, like I said, the sales is for money. They are not technically for, like for the affordable community or B40, they wanted to talk
So
about.
where are we benefiting from this project?
Like I said, it's the money. It's the money that they would like to fund the Penang master plan, but we cannot see just the simple benefit from it. It's not just for transport. It is for the overhaul connecting network for the whole Penang east side, especially when you can see the development is so eagerly needed in Gurney Wharf, as you see. It's gonna be developing. It's already reclaimed. So if you wanted to say reclamation project, it is something not very new anymore. And plus, I'm very confident with the jury and with the specialists that involved in this project. So,
but there is no need to rush from Bayan Lepas to Gurney. They are building that highway to shorten the distance between the airport to the touristy area, which I find is ridiculous because as a tourist, you have no rush to go there. So there's a more pressing, urgent need to solve the traffic jam issue for normal people in Penang that is traveling from mainland to the industrial area. That is more urgent compared to the tourist area. And as you can see right now in COVID, if you drive around the Gurney area, it's completely empty. It's like deserted. Like even KL people not being able to travel interstate, we already can feel the effects of tourism. Tourism is not a sustainable industry, so we should definitely look into other sustainable industry. For example, like the fishery. The fishery is food resource is always something a necessity for the people of Penang. So we should be protecting the necessity industry instead of the tourism industry that is not really sustainable, although it can be very profitable.
It's a very good point that you mentioned COVID-19. In this case, I would see your statement is self-completing in a way. If let's say I'm staying at Penang Island and I wanted to go to work in COVID time, right? I can't go to work because there is a border control, right? The bridge is closed. I cannot go across to Seberang Perai. If I go over there, I got infected and I come back, I might infect my neighbor, my community, my family, my friends. So in this case, Bayan Lepas is an ideal proposal in a way that we are self-controlled as an island together as one. And then we have our industrial area, which is going to be a new one. Residential, business, tourism.
Sorry, I had to cut in a bit. You guys have I'll just give you guys 1 more minute to wrap up your shooting, and then we have to move on to the next part for you guys to present more arguments.
I can only say Penang is one of the places that I would love to stay because of its whole it's a good mix of traditional culture and civilization and also a new development. In this case, you get a good mix. I believe in the middle, you get in the best from the both worlds. That's best we can get. So
but you know that industrial area in Penang is mainly electronics. So E&E, not everyone can work from home. Almost like 40% of them have to be in the factory.
Okay, all right. Okay, thank you very much. So that was the part 1. Now we're going to go on again to the second part, where Eevon, now you can present the remainder of your arguments. You first, Eevon. Then after that, Gary will present his arguments. Please do not rebut each other for now. Just your arguments. and then you guys can continue shooting each other the next part. Let's start.
I think I already presented my two arguments. So maybe the last one would be about having these foreign architects coming into Malaysia, like to build something.
All right. Okay.
I feel like this is kind of problematic because it's like a neo-colonial kind of strategy of like us wanting validation from our colonies, wanting validation from them to say like, oh wow, there's a foreign architect who designed something in Malaysia, or oh in Penang, someone famous designed something here, and then I feel like this is something very problematic, and I think we all should own up to ourselves to try to design something that we can feel proud of. And I mean, obviously Malaysia's architecture industry also have its own flaws. Like we are not always trying to push for design all the time. We just easily give in to developers and just do whatever they ask us to do, like maximizing plot ratio and then maximizing like the floor areas and stuff like that. But I think that Malaysia has a lot of potential, and we all should try to fight for our rights to actually design something like this kind of project instead of being like the submission architects behind the shadow of our colonists. Yeah. Is it not 3 minutes yet?
Amos, can I join? Right? No, I can.
No, not yet. Please don't.
Okay.
Please, okay. Fine. I'll allow this. Just ask one question.
Me, okay. For me, asking one question, maybe our statement lah. But I'm saying that how high are the chances that you see Malaysian architects produce works apart from Malaysia, like a famous one, like the names they made it up to, you know, to a certain award. Yeah, but Ken Yang himself, if not mistaken, he joined the competition as well, right? And okay, even though that doesn't apply, he also joined in other reclamation projects or new islands project. So, okay, that's not talk about the nature of the project, but let's just talk about reputation of the architects in Malaysia. And if you're talking about this competition, it's kind of different. It's very different from Forest City because Forest City is kind of like a Chinese money-driven project. If you look at the jury, it's all Chinese. It's either Chinese jury or Chinese architects or even foreign architects. They are staying in China. So this is going to be a different.
The panel, if the panel is not from one country, it's international, then it's good.
Yeah, technically, because you need someone to tell you that Malaysia is good in what point and bad in what point. Because that's why I think
do they know Malaysia? But do they know Malaysia better than we do?
Hang on, no. Stop. Okay, Gary, that's enough for your one question. Gary, now it's your turn to present your points. Please don't rebut each other yet.
Okay. First of all, I would like to say this competition, like I said, it's a different project. Why? Because this is a Malaysia first urban design competition, international competition. It welcomes more than 140 plus entries. And also, if you look at the finalists, they are not just limiting to foreign architects. They also pair out with local architects. Those foreign architects, they know technology better than any other Malaysian architect in this case because they are international, well-acclaimed architects or specialists or consultants. Just look at the example. BR Ingalls, this project, BR Ingalls crossover with Hijaz, crossover with Rambo. I must confess, Rambo is a strong component in this case. Why? Because Rambo, they are a global huge company. They have done Tate, they have done Denmark projects, they have done Singapore projects, and also like I mentioned earlier, Ganwaf. So Grant Associate, they have done Marina Bay Sands. So in this case, we can actually see the success in that rate. They have experience in doing that. Second of all, foreign architects in this case, some architects, local architects, they might argue that, why I don't have the chance to, to perform myself. Let's be honest, architects' jobs, they are actually depending on the chance to build.
Gary, first, just point out, isn't that the first one, Putrajaya?
Sorry?
First internationally designed that.
That one is, I can't recall, but I can only say Penang one is a first urban design. I believe that Putrajaya
in recent years, maybe you can say.
It's a city, I believe. It's a city.
Yeah, what about Forest City? Forest City also, isn't it?
Forest City, no. Forest City
Forest
is a
City is
city.
it's for the local, yeah.
Yeah, but
As
I'm
well
talking
as
about urban design. Urban
the
design.
one in Malacca as well. The new Malacca. I forgot the name, but that one is also an international design, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, but they are not open for such more names, right? Do you see like BR Ingles join their competition? No. Do you see Foster join the competition? No. Did you see like a big names joining?
Okay. Why? Sorry, I just want to point out and ask this. But why do you see the fact that BR Ingles or Foster declining or not even interested in joining this thing as a big deal?
So sorry, I can't. Do you mind repeat?
Yeah, okay. I just want to ask, like, why do you think, or why do you say that because Foster or BR Ingles has a decline or has not participated in the competition, that's a mark against them? Why do you think that's important, or why is that even relevant?
I think we again believe that because I'm now currently studying in the European context, right, or UK, right? Because the vision is very important in this case. They do have imagination. I think Malaysian architects, they do have, or they do have vision from that. They always wanted to do proposal and whatnot, but they're not there to come up with the certain comfort zone to challenge themselves. Then only you can see BR Ingles will come out like a so bold movement.
All right. Okay. Is that are those your points for this round?
No, I can only say we need to open for the foreign architects, as they are not just ordinary foreign architects. They are famous architects.
Right.
They have done a lot of projects. So I'm just saying that we should invite them.
Okay. All right. So okay. You are free to open fire.
But I think that having these foreign architects is actually a sign of design hegemony in Malaysia. Won't you think so? It's like importing their ideas into our context that is not actually suitable for our Malaysian lifestyle. Don't you think, Gary?
Well, I think, okay, in that case, that's the reason why Malaysian architects, they are actually there. They will be regulated in this case for the, speaking of the Penang.
No, that's not
Penang
the truth.
Because
my ex company is one of the winners. So I actually asked them, so how was the process? And they say that it's just a name. They were just attached to this foreign architect and they didn't even involve in any of the design process. They didn't even consult them at all. They didn't even ask anything. So they were just names on paper, like attached to them, and then they didn't even ask anything about Malaysia through the local architect. So it's just a name. And in the end, I also don't know what's their responsibility. So all the proposal from start to finish is all done by the foreign architect, and they have no clue of what Malaysia is like. And they are just proposing from their office far, far away in Europe, and you think it's fine? I feel like that is completely contradictory to the way we learn architecture, and it's not a right thing to do.
Okay, maybe perhaps you are mentioned about MVRDV and the E company lah. Maybe that's the one lah. But I can't talk a lot because I'm not working with them. Perhaps that's the only chance that happened in that particular firm. Okay, so now we are talking about foreign companies. Well, you're talking about site specific and contextual design, right? In this case, we really need to see site as something that constrain ourselves to design something in a way. Oh, I'm not from Malaysia, then meaning to say I can't design a Malaysian project. Does that mean we can't do that? So in that case, it will self-contradict in a way. If let's say Malaysians cannot compete within ourselves, how do you wanted to compete with other people when let's say your office got a chance to design something in London? Can you compete that? No, because you are saying that, oh, because that project is not in Malaysia, then I don't want to design. Is that the case? Because that's why
I'm not saying that. I'm just saying that the way they execute it is not right.
Yeah, that's why Malaysian architects, they can't go far because one, they are technically inadequate to join that. I believe that some join other competitions as well. They made the name outside. But how far did they go? It's not like, ADAS, ADAS in China, or you're talking about DP architects. In Malaysia, foreign architects this is not the first case. You're talking about the KL, the one, I forgot the building, somewhere near eevon building. So that one just got demolished. It doesn't matter because but it was designed by Singapore architects. So, and then you're talking about Ilham Gallery. You are talking about GDP. They designed with Foster, the one on University Petronas. That one also, they collaborate with Foster. They won award. So that's where the recognition comes in, the appreciation comes in. So that's where I think it's very important to invite foreign architects, and also to allow ourselves to compete with others so that we can understand what Malaysian architects they are really capable of. And if you look at PAM recent video, right, they invited Malaysian architects. Who are they? Hijaz, Ken Yang, some local architects. But local architects, I'm not sure. I can't tell their portfolio if they go beyond local or just foreign projects, right? But if you look at it, only Ken Yang who can make out that far. And Ken Yang is another case because he is a famous architect because of the ecologies, and then he was named like the top 100 person that can change the world. That's kind of different. But how many of our Malaysian architects can actually make it to that list? And who? I mean, does the world actually notice Malaysia? They don't notice apart from 1MDB. So why don't we use architects? It's something we can proud of. We were trained in such a diverse cultural background, but we just sitting in a small country, and then development also so stuck with corruption, with no space to develop. We just stay in Malaysia.
But don't you think if we were to continue to validate foreign architects like this, that means it will be hardly for us to have a chance to actually stand on our own, because we are continually seeking validation from these foreign architects, these foreign institutions to actually say that we are good. Shouldn't we are the ones who are stating it ourselves, like telling other people what are our strengths and what we can provide to the world?
I think if you let's say you wanted to show the so-called competitiveness among Malaysian architects, I think, okay, at some point from what I know, first of all, competition already corrupted. The jury already know who is the winner. That's the first thing. The culture itself is wrong already. Second of all, by inviting foreign architects can actually show you how you did about the performance to measure yourself with the whole global scale. We are talking about global scale. We are talking about global skill and skill set that are we Malaysian architects able to compete with others? Because you look at Malaysian projects, there are actually a lot of projects designed by foreign architects. Why? Because is it because Malaysian architects they are not adequate enough, or is it because of the fee, or is it because of political environment?
Let's not stray too far from here. I just wanna ask like a few pointed questions, right? Well, first off, right, do you guys think that if a Malaysian architect was appointed to do this project, do you think that the quality of it would have been better suited for it? Even, regardless of its original problems, like for example, as Eevon said, that the initial conception of this project is already flawed due to the Penang Transport Master Plan being not really a good idea in the first place. But barring that, right? If a Malaysian architect designed it, do you think that it would have had a better outcome purely based upon the design?
I feel like right now, currently, I feel like it's very hard to see a Malaysian architect to design a good proposal for a Malaysian huge project like this, to be honest. Actually, what Gary said just now, I actually half agree of what he says. And I think that is one of the problems of Malaysia. Like all this competition and all this stuff is actually very, very flawed in Malaysia. So that's why we have this problem of exporting our expertise on a global scale and us not being recognized on a global scale. So probably that's one of the reasons that's one of the big problems that we face in our architecture industry in Malaysia. But I think
Okay.
we can actually change that. But of
Oh, Eevon.
Oh, Yvonne, are you there? Yvonne, are you there?
course, it's going to be very, very tough, and you have to be very.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, Yvonne. Sorry, I'm not sure if I got cut off or you got cut off. But can you reiterate the final two sentences that you said just now?
Oh, shit! I don't really remember. I think I'm trying to say that it's doable, but it's going to be very, very hard because I know
see.
that
Okay.
as a owner of architecture firm in Malaysia, they would definitely have to balance between, getting enough jobs to survive and also being strong as a designer. So I know that balance is very, very hard in Malaysia right now.
All right.
So
Okay. Because I want to following up from that, right? I would like to ask that is in the context of this development, which is estimated, well, according to them, towards 70 billion ringgit. Do you think I would expect that meritocracy in this case, as Gary has pointed out, with his points being that the foreign architects in this case is necessary, surely purely because of the sheer price tag this thing has. So do you think that even if this was given to a Malaysian architect, and presumably the Malaysian architect is presumably once again inferior to a foreign architect, do you think that is justified given the cost of this project? I think that, I mean, if I can present my own comment, I would think that with so much money, I will be very, very angry if we had to choose a Malaysian architect purely because it's Malaysian, and not disqualify or not choose something that is quantitatively the best, like meritocracy, right? That's something that we talk about all the time. So what do you guys think?
I think you did mention the project is not a small project. It involves a lot of budget. It involves a lot of time. It involves a lot of party in this case. So that's why I think the necessity to invite foreign architects, because if you wanted to develop, why don't you just go big in this case and ask the foreign architects to tell you what you need to do? Because again, like I said, foreign local architects, they are not adequate to handle such big projects. So that's why I think with the so-called nature of this project, with the nature of budget, the economy of the budget, the project, it needs foreign architects, especially they have been doing so many big projects. Just simply talk about Foster. Foster have done urban planning on a new city proposal. It's not the first time. They have done a lot. So that's where I can see the capacity that this is not the time to sharpen our perception on foreign architects, but also a good time to reflect on ourselves. What if there is another project similar like this? What can we do? We can learn something and apply it so that we can have a close competition among Malaysian architects. Then only we can talk about it, because in the previous time, it doesn't open. You're talking about Forest City, you're talking about Putrajaya, they are not open. They are not all welcome. Amos, you were saying, is it?
No. Go ahead. Yvonne, do you have anything to say to that?
personally, I think on this kind of meritocracy and less corruption, I think bringing in a foreign architect is kind of a good decision, I would say, because we all know that we cannot guarantee there's no corruption in Malaysia. And also probably having a foreign architect would actually, how do you say, provide like a guarantee to the world saying that, oh, we're going to do this project and it's going to be realized. It's going to make sure that it's going to be realized. That's one aspect that I will agree with Gary, that this project will be done cleanly in a sense, and there will be less corruption. But I only agree on this. I don't agree on like everything else about the project.
but you have to see the the purpose of this project, right? They wanted to sell it. If you wanted to sell it, okay, let's just imagine, okay, this proposal done by Malaysian architects. If I'm a developer, I'm an investor, would you invest current situation? A proposal done by Malaysian architects, I don't want to say who, another one done by BR Ingalls. Who would you choose, you see? So in that case, we can actually see how important foreign architects and the name. The name itself is not, it shouldn't be seeing like, oh, I'm wanted to cheat your feeling or I'm deceiving your feelings or your money, you know. But name itself, we can actually see Crazy Rich Asian is a good example. Why they tend to promote Singapore instead of Malaysia, even though Malaysia have so many good things. That's where the marketing comes in, because I think Malaysia, they are really good. You know, talking about Kintanlu that time, we are talking about the Subang airport. Malaysian architects do have their own capacity to do a lot of good architecture, but it's just that it's not well market documented. So that's all I can only say. Our Malaysian architects, we need competitiveness to compete with other people, so that to tell us how good we are.
Amos, you want to close?
Okay. All right. Okay. Do you guys have anything else to say?
You know, as
Okay. I think it's time that we have our closing statements already.
yeah.
Okay. I think Gary, you start first. You start with your closing statement.
I can only say this project, I see more, you know, things will have good and bad, but I can see the good is much more on bad side, because Penang is a different region in a you know, quote unquote saying, because it's not a typical same bunch of people who manage Penang, you know. I'm not saying, you know, I don't have to elaborate on that, but that's why I see Penang, it has a good mix of traditional culture and also modern development is necessary, because if one day they wanted to independent as one country, finger crossed, but I think they are capable to do that, because they have a good politician system compared with other states. They have
Okay, you know what? I'm gonna stop you there. Let's not have any seditious comments tonight.
Yep. But I'm just okay.
Let's
I'm
not
just
have
only
any
say
talk of treason.
no. I'm just only say that Penang is a good place for develop as an overall development. So that's why I think foreign architects investment in environment in this case is not really a big deal. So I see more goods than bad.
Is it my turn?
Okay, Yvonne. Yeah, go ahead.
Thanks for looking up to Penang so highly. But I think it's exactly because of the same pool of people that is governing Penang. I feel like they are already diverting their responsibilities as the government. I feel like they are not really doing something beneficial for Penang by doing this project. Because if you see
Like
Oh yeah, I think Yvonne. Oh no, Yvonne has cut off again.
back then in the 19
Okay, so Yvonne, sorry, Yvonne, can you say that again? Because it got cut off again.
okay, from where?
you're saying
1960s.
60s, okay.
Yeah. So yeah.
So from the 1960s, so the government of Penang has always been doing things that is beneficial for Penang people. But recently, I feel like, especially this current one, they are not really doing things that is beneficial for the Penang people. Although we see less corruption in other parts of Malaysia. So I feel like the Penang government, if they want to continue to be ruling Penang, they should reevaluate this Penang South Reclamation Project and actually do something that's beneficial for Penang. Yeah.
All right. Okay. Thank you for that. For your closing statement. Now, I'm going to open up the floor to questions for our observers here. If you guys would like to ask any questions, now's the time. Oh, that's okay.
But how about I just throw up an open question? I mean, Yvonne, if let's say you have to make a choice, right? Because in the middle part, in the central, there are like mountain areas, right? That's where the soil with high erosion rates. And also, if you're talking about on the west side, that's where, or the, should I say, kampong area. And also there is an area for mangrove, growing.
On the west side.
Yeah, on the west side. So in that case, we can actually see the population is growing and growing, regardless of the birth rate, even though they are low, but you can't deny that population is growing in Penang. And you can't deny the fact that, how about the so-called outsiders, like KL people, they like to stay there for retirement. They would like to stay there for business. They want to stay there for family, How do you see the development can take place instead of South Island?
Move to island, move to mainland lah.
Okay.
I already said mainland, there's still plenty of land. Seriously, there's plenty of land on mainland. And it's so badly managed on mainland. If you drive around mainland, all the houses mostly are still like shabby kampong houses. And it's not really, really like planned properly. I mean, this could be like a very bad modernist example of top-down management, but I feel like mainland is still very, very underdeveloped compared to Penang Island. So there is so much work to be done there.
If let's say Seberang Perai, should I say, are they a new?
Clarissa will get offended if you keep saying Seberang Perai. You should call it mainland because Seberang Perai is just like on the northern part.
Okay,
like,
mainland. Okay.
Yeah.
I wanted to ask, like, mainland himself, does the development going on, or is none, or it's not happening at all? So should I say, is it existing development, or is it empty land?
There is development. It's just that it's very, very, very slow compared to Penang Island. But I think partly the reason why the growth on the mainland is slower is because mainly, like 40% of the Penang Chinese population live on the island, and 40% of the Malay population live on the mainland. So I feel like that's one of the reasons why the Penang government couldn't really develop mainland, you can say, in a sense, because we have this ethnic tension, and you can't really like, just go to mainland and scoop up some land.
Oh.
Okay, I think Eevon just got cut off again. I will not make any
and develop it, because
comments
it's going to be
about
very, very
the state of Penang internet infrastructure. Eevon, can you say that again? Because Eevon, you just got cut off again. So sorry.
Where? Where did I cut off?
I think you were saying about you got cut off at the part where you said that the state government, due to ethnic tensions, is unlikely to go across to the mainland to so-called, as you said, scoop up land.
Yeah. So I feel like that's one of the reasons why mainland is still being underdeveloped, because like mainly 40% of the Malay population live on the mainland, and it's very hard for the Penang government to actually, just go there and compulsory purchase a piece of land to develop that area. So I think, and I also think that although I'm talking about this from a top-down perspective, but seriously, like if you go around mainland, it's like so really, really underdeveloped, and so much can be done there.
All right. Okay. Gary, do you have anything else to say?
There are definitely some points that Eevon, being a local resident of Penang, I can't judge much. Of course, I can't comment much because I'm not staying in Penang. But in that case, we should. Doesn't mean that Penang people they can't welcome other opinions from the so-called non-Penangites. So in that case, I think there should be a balance between, being yourself and also how to open with other opinions from other people to know yourself better, because you never know yourself until BI just come in and say, hey, I want to do 3 islands, and you found out, hey, we need Penang more. We not until the threat approaches to your house, then only you realize how safe your house is. So that's where I can only say, and in that case, we should reflect ourselves in both sides to look at it, what kind of capacity in ourselves, not just being the development itself, also in Malaysian architects, how far should we go? And land is getting developed and developed more. And what is the next step? And speaking of an architects, traditional architects, conventional architects, they just wanted to get built. You running out of land. You just need to build. I mean, of course, mainland there is a lot of opportunity, but investor, they don't see the eye on that. That's where the problem is. So development, I personally don't really agree with idea of development, but sometimes you just need to have some development to boost a certain stimulation to allow us to understand how good we are and how bad we are.
Okay, what are the implications of this project towards perhaps future developments in Malaysia? This kind of mega projects, if based upon this example that we had and projecting from what it might become and how it might be executed, do you guys think that this will become a precedence of on something that will have a great impact on future mega projects in Malaysia?
I definitely see that this would become like a trend in Malaysia to keep holding competitions to attract foreign architects to come and design Malaysia, definitely. And actually, immediately after this self-reclamation announcement, they announced another international Penang Bay competition. So I also don't know.
Yeah.
And I actually participated in that.
Okay, all
because
right.
I'm getting fed up, so I'm like, I have to say something about it.
Oh, interesting. Well, I think being a active participants in various competition, I think it's very necessary in Malaysian context. We're just staying too comfortably in our own home, and then we're just not going out and fight with other people. I mean, not simply as a bad fight with like a bloody fight. It's a fight that to understand how far is your capability. Just looking at ourselves, I was trained in Malaysia. Not until I step into Glasgow and I know how shallow am I. I believe it will same goes to you, Eevon, because now you're studying in a very competitive environment. You will know how important are the foreign opinions or the multidisciplinary ideas or diverse ideas to enhance yourself, and so that you can actually brought back to Malaysia ideas. Simply talking about Malaysian architects who join the competition, they are mostly educated in overseas. You're talking about,
all right, okay.
Yeah, Serena Hijaz, GDP, some other firms, I not to mention, but they are all practiced overseas. And then they come back and then to tell Malaysia what you should do. And this is what we should do. And because just simply talking about just our neighbor, Thailand or Singapore, you can actually see how much different we are. In speaking of the development, in speaking of the speed, in speaking of the capacity that we can go as a Malaysian architects.
Okay, all right. I think we can sum up tonight's debate session already. I think I just call it. You guys, once again, I think I wanted to thank you guys for coming out tonight. I think that I've heard some really, really interesting comments. I don't have horse in this. I don't have any horse in this race. Because I don't really care about Penang except for the food. And as far as the food is not affected, it's all okay for me. Maybe although you did say that the Malaysian mackerel might be affected, and then that means that laksa might be affected. So that's quite concerning to myself, lah. But never mind, it's okay. Once again, thank you so much for coming, and for our listeners, thank you very much. I hope you guys have any questions, right? Last final call. Last question. Do you guys have any questions?
Yeah, I want to listen to them, to all our listeners. What do they think about the debate and also the topic itself? Clarissa, maybe?
Can you hear me?
Yeah, loud and clear.
Yeah, yes, go ahead.
I think what I'd like to ask is the fact that architects is really dependent on developers. It seems like this conversation has made that completely true. So I wonder about that role of development within Malaysia, specifically within Penang, I guess, and whether we should continue with this trajectory, large-scale developers, funding, competitions, and then, yeah, that kind of role. Or should we think about it differently in terms of our position as architects, because we seem to be under their control. Hence this debate emerged.
I mean, even though there are some cases, I met some architects, they are working for developers or eventually they are part of the developer teams. In the end, it doesn't change the fact that architects just wanted to get built. They just want to build. They need land to build. You can't deny that. You as an architect, you just wanted to build. It's like doctor. If there's no patient, then doctor will running out of jobs. Kind of thing. But we just can't. I mean, regardless how many you wanted to change, even though you wanted to change a pavilion, let's say you change the scale of your model, the practice, right? You just wanted to change to, let's say, I want to build pavilion, that's all. Temporary structure, I don't need land. I just need a temporary land. You still need a land. You still need a space to build your thing. I mean, that's the nature of our profession, I would say.
Yeah, I think if we were not to build, I guess don't become an architect.
Yeah, exactly.
become an activist. I feel like I don't know. I feel like we are stuck in this capitalist system, and I think that as architects, it's very, very hard for architects to not earn money without building.
Yep.
At least currently in this situation, I can't really think of a way for architects to earn money other than drawing buildings to be built. So I'm not sure. Maybe in UK there are ways of architects being able to earn money through not building, but Malaysia, I feel like we still haven't reached that kind of level yet, where we don't build and we are still able to make money as architects.
I think make money is one thing. How many money that you need is another story. Because if you, let's say, just wanted to design some, refurbishment, okay, the existing property, I just want to renovate, that's all. Okay, fine. But how far can you go? And what is the quantity that you need? Because those projects, they are way smaller fee compared to to design a master plan like Desa Park City, it's kind of different. But maybe I can, sorry, I have to call out a person, Nick. I think I'm not sure what do you think, because you yourself have seen a lot of ugly side of our architecture industry, or perhaps the beauty side of it. Would you like to say something?
Why you call me out?
No, I'm just curious. I'm curious. What do you think? Yeah, I'm really curious.
What do I think about the current situation in Malaysia?
It could be that, or you wanted to talk about Penang Island project.
Well, I think you all make some valid points, so I won't point it out. But I do feel that, sure, why aren't more Malaysian architects designing our local sort of cities or buildings? Why are we inviting so many foreigners? Nothing wrong with that. I mean, like, of course, having international competition, it's good, but maybe perhaps those competition can also open up to Malaysian architects, so have a fair ground, whether it's, local or international, they decide. But I think it's always, maybe it's because we're always gravitated to our colonial past. Somehow we feel like, Westerners can do better than us. So it's, I mean, I don't know. I still feel that we are kind of in that situation where we always think that we cannot be better than, others, but we don't really need to put our name out into international
stage.
Into the international stage. I mean, like, as long as we can design our things better locally, we don't necessarily need to get our name out into international stage, because not many countries do that, so I mean, like, there are always room for improvement. So I don't think it's that bleak of a situation. So really up to you guys, future architects or future designers. to design better. I mean, like, yeah, I kind of agree also where you say there's no way architects cannot build, but there's no way architects cannot build. We'll always be building, but maybe we can build better.
Yeah, thanks, Nick. Yeah, should we end this? And Edmund, Join, Anna?
Unless you guys once again have anything else to add.
Yeah.
Okay, I think that's it. I think I'm gonna call it now. Once again, thank you very much for listening in to this episode of the first ever debate episode from miloais. Gary versus Eevon, RE, the Penang South Islands project. Well, it's up to you to draw your conclusion. I'm not gonna call a winner because that's not my job, and then we shouldn't say that. I hope it has influenced you and made you guys more aware of what is a big mega project is all about. I'd like to issue an errata over here. Previously, in the very beginning, I actually said that this project is a 2,000 acre project. That is a mistake. I'd like to clarify that it's actually 4,500 acres big. Okay, so it's more than twice the size of what I said. So sorry for that fake news. Okay, I think that's it for tonight, lady, and thank you very much for listening in. This Amos signing out. miloais out.
Thanks.
Okay.